celebrating 15 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Tim Harris.
This is Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill. And you know, these are great stories about people who are proof. What are they proof of? Possibility. And Tim Harris is my guest today. Thank you for being here today. I have always wanted to do this interview, and I'm excited to have you here.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I've been a big fan of the show and your career here in Knoxville.
To say that you've done well in the furniture industry is an understatement. The industry has changed a lot. Online buying, all sorts of stuff. People come into showrooms with a lot more information now. It's a different thing. And I've watched the industry kind of do this, but I've watched your company do this. What has happened? 25 years ago, where were you? What were you doing? How did this whole thing come to be?
Really didn't know much, but as we talked before, Mr. Dick, the famous man, was nice enough to lease me a building to get started.
Now, what were you doing prior to starting Knoxville Wholesale Furniture?
Well, I spent 6 years in education as a football coach and a school teacher. I've got a physical education degree, a master's from Tennessee State University in Nashville, and then spent 10 years working for another furniture company, rose to the level of vice president, and then decided to try it on my own.
So how do you do that?
Well, it's hard, and you think you might have an idea, but once you get out into the pond, you realize this is harder than you thought it was going to be. But over 25 years, I think what's helped us more than anything is pursuing and developing a culture with our people. Anyone can really buy furniture, price furniture, rent a building. There's no magic there, but it takes a long time to develop a culture inside the company with your people, which are your most important asset.
So how did you decide on that location, and where'd you get the resources? Because right out of the gate, that was a big facility down on Paper Mill as starting point, as a starting point.
Well, I had a partner in the beginning, but I did sell my house. I did cash in my teacher's retirement and moved our family into a 2-bedroom apartment. Had to trade in a car, and I was going over this with my wife, and she said, "This doesn't sound good." So we really pushed it all out into the middle of the table. I mean, I put everything I had into this. We were small in the beginning, but there was nowhere to go. It had to work.
So you push all the chips in the middle of the table. You decide, I believe that this is possible. What made you believe that, though? Well, because 25 years ago, I don't know that the market was primed for that.
It wasn't. I just felt like I could do it. I had been in a major position with another company and felt good about that. And I had a lot of friends in the industry that encouraged me to do it. And of course, Halloran, you look back as you get older, and really it's great parents.
Right.
Great parents giving you the confidence and the belief that you could do something.
Let's talk about your parents for just a moment then. Let's start with your mother. Tell me about your mother. Tell me about what she added to your life.
Very confident, very outspoken. My father was a preacher, and they were very disciplined in what they expected from us. It was a different time, growing up in the little town Portland, Tennessee in the 60s.
Where's Portland, Tennessee?
Portland is small. It's northeast of Nashville, near the Kentucky state line. There were about 3,000 people. It's like, if you've ever seen Andy Griffith, that's how I grew up.
So you have these strict parents, your father's a preacher, you have siblings?
I do. I have a brother 7 years younger and a sister 2 years younger.
So you're growing up in this strict, it's a different time in America, and they lay it out for you. Now, did you believe that you would end up here?
No, we grew up in thinking about service to others. And then all I ever wanted, I was a pretty good high school football player and wanted to coach. And so grew up learning about service, learning about working with people. Now, I never took a business class. I never took an accounting class. Yet I have a very successful business because of my training from my parents in the ministry, and then as a high school teacher and football coach, what I learned was how to handle and motivate people.
Wow. We'll take a break. My guest is Tim Harris. The story is unfolding now. We are on paper mill. We've got one store. He put it all in the middle of the table, moves his family into a 2-room apartment, and wait till you hear what happens next. This is Anything is Possible. Back in a moment.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
I was praying in church a few months ago, and one thing that came back to me was, hey, you need to take care of the people that make all of this happen.
So let's unpack the story of Knoxville Wholesale Furniture. You open up in a storefront in Paper Mill, and I guess it's the same area now where Whole Foods is and all that stuff. And I remember that shopping plaza, and there was like a Phillips something down there, and there was a bookstore, and there's all sorts of stuff down there. So you open up, Mr. Dick says, we can't afford another failure, and neither could you. Do you remember how much business you did that first year, and how many people did you have on your team?
Well, we started out with about 25 people. It was a partial year, so we maybe did about $3 million of business. I've got every monthly statement in my desk drawer today of what we did, but we started out mainly in the wholesale business. We were selling little mom and pop furniture stores all over East Tennessee. That was 80% of our business.
Wow.
And that, thus the name Knoxville Wholesale Furniture. We were started in the wholesale business, and then we opened our door. Funny story, we didn't run an ad for 2.5 years, although we were open to the public. And we had a saying that our customers are smart enough to read the price tag. So the way we got in, Hal, was just really low prices.
So, make sure I heard you correctly. Year one, $3 million.
Right.
Right. So what happened year two?
Year two was about double that. Still struggling.
So we run up through the 90s. What kind of growth did you see through the 90s?
Well, we obviously the first year or two we were undercapitalized, and we really were struggling. Now we were able to secure more financing from First American Bank at the time. That really started the growth, and after year say 3 or 4, we got up near 10 million, and we could see that what we were doing was working. We still have continue to travel the country and tweak things and learn from others. But we saw that we had a concept that was going to work, and we saw that we were developing a great team of people.
What was the concept?
Well, the concept was really, now this sounds, this wouldn't excite anybody, you hear it all the time, but the concept was getting our people to do more work than one person. Now, I come from an athletic, a coaching background, so really we were looking at this at trying to work on our people and motivating them to reach great heights. Now that has turned in over the years to actually getting into what kind of a person are you, the motivational aspect, a lot of things we do now to where we are able to be one of the most productive furniture companies in the country, in that the amount of sales we have versus the small amount of personnel we have.
So people really do maximize their potential, and that maximizes the potential of the business itself. Let's talk culture for just a moment, because you said it's not only about people, but it's about culture. I saw a video of you with your employees. They're all there. You're going to give out gift cards or something like that. You know this video?
I do.
Right. And so in the video, everybody's sitting in this room, and how many employees do you have?
We have over 150.
So there was this room full of people. I mean, it's a room full of people. And you said, what if we gave you a gift card to a restaurant? Would you like that? And then you go on down, and then somebody comes up and puts $1,000 on the board, right? And somebody was supposed to get $1,000, and I'm thinking one individual. And then you said,
So reach under your chair.
and it was like an Oprah moment. Everybody reaches under their seat, they open the envelopes, and it was like, you get a card, you get a card. That kind of generosity, I was like, wow, who does that? Who does that in this industry? But I guess you're doubling down on these people that you believe in inside a culture that you've helped to create, and that culture is the most important thing. You want to make sure they fit the culture because the culture is what serves the people.
We're investing back, but also it's an example. The way I was raised, the first thing when you're blessed, great things happen, you're thankful and you give back. There's a lesson of first fruits where if big things happen to you, we've got the responsibility to give back. And we give a lot to charity in the community, but hell, I was praying in church a few months ago, and one thing that came back to me was, hey, you need to take care of the people that make all of this happen. And we wanted to do it. We've been blessed that we could, but it was an example to our management team and everybody. This is what you do. And that the greatest thing that happened that day, we had a bunch of those guys that are truck drivers and the warehouse secretaries. Man, they cried. It changed their situation. And a lot of times we forget, and that's a big issue going forward in the economy. We got to bring everybody along, and we got to help. And so we try to get people to work really hard. We pay our people well, more than our competitors for the job they do, but we expect them to perform.
So let's talk about the growth then of the company, because one thing I noticed about your company was when we get to 06, 07, 08, 09, those are some dark years, not only for the real estate industry, but anytime you see the market collapse around housing, the stuff that goes in houses suffers as well. And I'm watching you through those years, and I'm like, wait, there's another location. There's another location. You were growing through the recession. How did that happen?
Well, we felt like in the times you're talking about, we need to get to a model that really, like Warren Buffett, a lot of his stores, I could name a lot of friends of mine in the industry that have gone to, and that was we needed a big distribution center to be able to buy in truckloads and containers from all over the country, all over the world, to get our prices down so that we could be more attractive to the customer. We built our big distribution center. It was a big project on Callahan Road, and right when we were finishing that, the economy collapsed in 08.
Wow.
We were very worried, but what happened was we became more attractive to the smaller base that was there. So most of our competitors really shrunk during that 2 to 4 year period, and we were able to gain a massive amount of market share.
It was very interesting. I was Procter & Gamble during the last Great Depression. Procter & Gamble, it is said, they upped their advertising and they grew their business. And somebody asked, why would you do that then? They said, whenever markets restrict, people only have a few dollars to spend. They're going to spend it with the companies they believe are strongest and the brands that they believe are strongest. So their market share just grew because you think, well, if everything's going bad, but they're doing good, we must need to be with them. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about where you are now and this kind of a dual thing that's going on, because you believe in doing well by doing good. And I want to talk about this. This is Tim Harris. You're watching Anything is Possible.
Coming up.
Faith in the Lord. We're strong believers. We've got a Christian company. That's where you start. Many people who are not Christians are successful, but it'll make good decisions great decisions.
I have to say that walking into one of your stores really is an experience. First of all, the selection. It's amazing. You walk in, it's like, wow. Especially in a world where retail seems to be contracting a little bit, but people still want to come in, be well served. You have a huge selection. How many locations now?
We've got 4 locations, and we've got the 2 large Knoxville Wholesale furniture stores, a clearance center, which is very large, and an Ashley store, which is a franchise.
So how do you rank nationally? Because my understanding is you've got one of the fastest growing and biggest furniture companies in America.
Well, we're one of the top independent furniture companies in the country. We're probably the largest in the Mid-South. And we're not a chain store. A lot of the people that are very large are chained with multi-locations, multi-cities. We're not interested in going anywhere else. We love Knoxville. We're very invested in our people. We're very invested in the community, in giving back and being a part of this.
So where are you now? I know you started 25 years ago, first year, 3 million. Where are we running now?
We had 43 million in sales last year. That's over a 40% market share. Those are WIVK numbers of old, but
good gracious,
we've become very dominant. And again, it's just.
Did you imagine this, Tim?
No, my dreams didn't go that far. My dreams were, could we ever be 10 million? And no, we didn't think about this, but when one door opens, you step through it, other doors open, and it's a pursuance of trying to get better. We're so much better now than we were, you know, from just things like our restrooms. You know, ladies will come in and say, man, that restroom was incredible. Just little things. There's no silver bullet. There's thousands of things that over time you learn, you mature, your team gets better. And it's a pursuance. Just, you know, people say, when are you going to quit? And I'm 62 now. I'm never going to quit.
You know what I also find interesting is how excellence is an accelerant. That if you do it well, something good always happens. And I've watched your company, and like I said, the last time I was in the store, I'm like, it's better than the last time I was in the store. But the other thing that I've noticed is your family's around you. Talk about the power of family in growing this business and what they mean to you.
Well, that is so critical. God gave me just the best wife because the support. I didn't share with her all the trials and tribulations. I didn't want to scare her in the early years. It was so tenuous, but she's been so supportive, and my wife still does the accessories. She still rips open boxes. She still works. We all still play. And this is from a sports background. You don't want to put your best players on the bench. A lot of times in business, you get up in an office somewhere, you're not connected to your people. All of our top management, they still play. They are the key people talking to customers, putting the furniture out, doing all those things that made us successful.
How many children do you have?
I've got a son, Tyler, 36. He's Vice President of Operations. I've got a daughter, Sarah, who's 24, who handles our advertising. And I've got a daughter, Maybeth, who's opening for Big and Rich on the 20th. She's an aspiring country music singer and in college.
That is amazing. So as we wrap today, what have you learned about possibility? If I came to you and sat in your office and said, hey, give me some advice. I got 25 years to try to make something of my dream. What would you tell me?
Well, first, it takes, in my opinion, faith in the Lord. You know, we're strong believers. We've got a Christian company. That's where you start. If you pass first base and you don't touch it, it's going to be harder. Many people who are not Christians are successful, but it'll make good decisions, great decisions. And then I think it's the culture that you inspire inside the company where people are passionate. They're for good things. They've got a can-do, we can make it happen attitude. They're really dedicated. We really sow into those people. And really, I've set the vision, but it takes a team of people. I'm, at this point, a small part of the team that we've got, these proud Knoxvillians who are able to do big things. And it's because of just teaching, the work ethic, all these things we talk about. And it's not one thing, it's thousands of things.
How important is it for you to be a good fiscal manager, managing your money?
Well, it is, and there's a time to be conservative, but there's a time to take risk. We took a lot of risk when people thought, when we did the thing, Callahan, all of our competitors said they're done. They'll go out because of the economy and things, but there's a time to make wise decisions that are well thought out. Sometimes it looks risky, but it's the key to growth.
Well, I want to thank you for being a possibility person, because I met you years ago, and the one thing I noted was you had a vision and you were consistent. You just kept going. And I think it really shows up, though, in the way you guys serve people, because all of the stuff behind the scenes, the corporation, how you function, at the end of the day, when somebody's walking into a showroom and they need a piece of furniture that's part of their home, they want to know that they're well served. When that happens, you know, it's multiplied by the way we serve. So thank you for being one of those people in our community that knows it's about the people, not only the people internally in your company, but the people that you serve. And ultimately, that growth is an opportunity to give back.
It is.
You're a great man. It's great to have you
Thank
here.
you, Halloran. Thank you much.
Tim Harris on Anything is Possible. We'll see you next time.